Nick Wright via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network, co-host First Things First. Let's start with my Laker rant, because you like him more than I do, and what am I saying that you don't agree with?
Well, I don't know, two movie stars and some Christopher Walkens and some Ving Rhames and some, that's Pulp Fiction, maybe the greatest movie ever. So a couple movie stars and Chris Walken and some other oddities can actually turn out okay, Hollywood, L.A., Colin Cowherd. But you just threw out there, LeBron's never played well with bigs. Well, when the best big you've ever had is Zydrunas Ilgauskas when you're 23, maybe that has to do with it. It's not a perfect roster, obviously. But Danny Green is a great addition. And if Kyle Kuzma can get back to rookie Kyle Kuzma from three-point land, 37% instead of inexplicably 31% last year, then they have adequate shooting. I don't love Rondo at all. Boogie, I think you have to just basically say anything you get from him is a bonus. But this team, it's not about getting to 58 wins and the 1 or 2 seed in the West. Take the Clippers out of it for a moment. Go through the West. You tell me a playoff series where someone can go toe-to-toe with LeBron or AD. Utah's got a great starting five. They do. I want to see Bojan Bogdanovic against LeBron. I saw that in a playoff series a couple years ago. Donovan Mitchell. Okay, see him go toe-to-toe. The Rockets. I like the Rockets a lot. But Harden and Chris Paul against LeBron and AD. Denver. Jokic is a great story, and they lost in the second round last year. Jokic in a series against AD and LeBron. Clippers and Lakers are clearly the two best teams in the conference because they have the best duos in the conference. And in the playoffs, that's what will matter. They might end up being the 3rd and 4th seed respectively, but that will not matter. I think you're overselling how much discord there is on the roster. Now, real quick, all of that assumes LeBron plays at an MVP level. All of that assumes that he has the best year 17 anyone has ever had.
Yes.
I will bet on that, and we'll see what happens.
I was saying about Kawhi Leonard is we like our stories to work perfectly. I read the first chapter, the second chapter, the third chapter. There's a little conflict. The fifth, sixth, the book's over, and the good guy wins. We like our books to be like that. And we watch Magic's career, and we watch Michael and LeBron, and we see them be really good and really talented, then great, then amazing, then dominant, then mogul. And then Kawhi Leonard comes out. And we didn't watch him in college. And he won early in San Antonio and didn't get along with the coach, goes to Canada, and it's weird feeling. And I'm sitting there looking, dude's 27, 2 titles, best player in both, could win a third, and I don't have a problem if he does saying, okay, he's in the Magic Michael LeBron conversation, best two-way player in the game. His path is sooner and weirder, but is it that strange? He just didn't want to be with a heavy-handed coach, and he engineered a trade. Hung out in Canada for a year. I think Kawhi could be an all-time great in a year.
Okay, pump the brakes. Listen, I got no problem with the path, and I think your point that what is the traditional path? There are even Larry Bird, one team, man, they drafted him a year when he had a year left in college.
Yeah.
Sat on his rights. That's not a traditional path. So I understand the lack of a traditional path part of it, but all-time great. Just calm down. I heard you. I was listening. You already are giving him next year's title, which is very kind of you. It can go right alongside the 3rd straight finals MVP you gave Kevin Durant a few months ago. And the 3rd straight title he won in Golden State that never happened. But he was the unquestioned best player in the playoffs this year. That first finals MVP, he was not the best player on the Spurs that year. He might have been the best player in the finals for the Spurs. It's arguable, but someone had to win the finals MVP. He's been the unquestioned best player on a team 2 years in his career. The year 2 seasons ago when that Spurs team looked awesome and then Zaza Pachulia maimed him. And then this season with the Raptors. LeBron, meanwhile, in 16 straight years, has led his team in points and assists. Let's give Kawhi a little more time before we put him with LeBron and Magic and Larry, and assuming we're not just going, we could assign him the next 3 straight titles, in which case he's already there, but I'm not ready to do that yet.
I want to segue to something because 2 big NBA topics we touched on, but I want to talk about Dak because there's this thing about the NFL. I always say, don't try to get happier than happy. if you die happy, you've done a great job. It's hard to be happy, right? Kids, job, profession, bosses. And I look at Dak. He's good enough. He wins divisions, 32-16. Good enough to win the locker room, gain the trust of his owner. But Andy Reid had a quarterback that was good enough. He rolled the dice, got Patrick Mahomes, and they're going to win Super Bowls. So I'm kind of going against the grain here. What I say is, don't try to get happier than happy. Good enough. Dak checks about 9 out of the 10 good enough boxes, does he not?
Yeah, he's good enough. He's good enough to get you beat if you pay him $30 million a year. You can't pay him $30 million a year. I want everyone to get paid, and if he gets it, good for him. But I heard Joy's point earlier, which was you had him on this very cheap contract and you couldn't put the pieces around him. Well, maybe, or despite having an all-pro running back, the best offensive line in football, an all-pro D tackle, this year an all-pro wide receiver at the deadline, the quarterback wasn't good enough. He's played 48 games for the Dallas Cowboys. The first 16 and the last 8 were very good. The middle 24 were not very good. And if you want to bet on the come and pay him like he's a franchise quarterback, okay, I feel like he's more likely going to be in the Matt Stafford ilk, which is, yeah, he is pretty good and we're scared to let him go. But the moment you pay him, your team has a hard ceiling. There's 3 ways to win Super Bowls in this league. Have a superstar quarterback that's paid, have a cheap quarterback on a rookie contract, or the one way that the Patriots get to a Super Bowl every other year, a superstar quarterback that's not paid that well. The one way to absolutely guarantee yourself you're drawing dead is to pay a good, not great quarterback money. I'd make Dak play this year out. You can hold the franchise tag over him, and I would make him prove it to me because I'd be afraid to commit myself to him for the next 5 years.
By the way, quickly, Russell Westbrook to the Heat. You like it? It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather him go to the Spurs. I think the Spurs can create an interesting package. DeMar DeRozan, it's an expiring deal. The Thunder want to get off money, and I think Russ would work there. But yeah, earlier today on the show, I said the Nets could be the team that could win the title. That's only if Kevin Durant comes back way early. If he doesn't, there's only 2 title contenders out east, the Bucks and the Sixers. If the Heat got Russ, they could immediately be the 3rd best team in the conference.
Yes.
Now, can you win a title with him as your best player? No. But in the last 25 years, only Michael, Kobe, and Steph have been a guard as the unquestioned best player on a champion. If you're under 6'6", you really can't be the best, and Kobe and MJ were 6'6", be the best player on a champion in today's NBA. You got to be a wing. So Russ can be the co-star, but that would need Jimmy Butler to take a major, major leap. But it would make him interesting, and Pat Riley's always about the team being interesting. And then you see if you can develop a young player or bring someone else in.
By the way, I just want to put this up. Best teams in the NBA, first things first co-host. I'll put it up on the board. We don't have a ton of time, but he's got Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, Sixers, Rockets, Jazz, Nets. I don't see Denver anywhere. I don't see the Warriors anywhere. Your Lakers are way too high. Outside of that, I'm good with it.
Okay. Okay, so real quick, listen, again, the Nets should have an asterisk. That's if Kevin Durant comes back on the timeline Kobe did, 240 days, he'd be back Super Bowl weekend. But so just remove them if KD's not there. The Nuggets would be the next team. That's fine. But the Nuggets are not going to beat the Lakers or the Clippers in a playoff series. And then the Warriors, what Warriors? What defense? They were a bad defense last year, and their defense is going to get worse. Steve Kerr is beside himself that Iggy and Sean Livingston are gone. You really think D'Angelo Russell making $27 million a year is going to go over well when Draymond Green's making 18 and they have not given him a contract extension? We don't know when Clay's coming back. The Warriors can be interesting. They cannot win a title. They shouldn't be on that list. That's why they're not on that list. You, of course, I would imagine, have the Pacers and Lakers neck and neck, but that's your thing.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.